Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Innabarrens. Hey X, frequent lurker, first-time poster. I happen to have the fortune of living about 10 minutes from the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. Don't know what that is? I'll give you a minute. Good? Okay. I've been there a handful of times. Nothing that I can confirm as paranormal happened. But here's some really weird things I've encountered. Decayed hunters' posts, despite the fact that the area has been a nature preserve forever. A single clearing covered with moss that contained the remnants of a hobo fire and a collapsed tent made from a tarp. A broken car. Animal tracks that start and stop abruptly on the main path. Large stretches of trees along the main road are burnt at the bottom of their trunks. Animal bones on the paths. There are no natural predators in the area. A friend of mine and I also saw some inexplicably fast shadow man there, but I'll elaborate on that if anybody asks. So X, have any stories from the Pine Barrens? Or from any well-known or named places in nature?
I used to live in a neighborhood right in the middle of the New Jersey Pine Barrens, so there were openings into the woods off of many streets. Many good times were had there as a teen growing up. Most of the time I'd go there alone just to wander and contemplate life, but other times I'd go with friends. Anyway, when I was in my early 20s, I started going out there a lot by myself. There were a few spots I'd go to just to meditate. Never left any garbage or disturbed anything, walked quietly, etc. After a while, I'd noticed that all the animals would start coming out again after things settled. I realized that by walking through the woods straight down a trail, I was being watched or listened to by everything nearby at all times. So I got used to meditating for a while and then seeing birds and squirrels and foxes and so on coming out doing their thing nearby. New Jersey doesn't have grizzly bears, so I never felt fear in the woods. I'd seen bear tracks before, but knew they would just be brown or black bears and peaceful. Humans were more of a disturbance to me. I'd hate it when I was meditating and suddenly out of nowhere a guy with his dog comes past, or some teenagers or something shouting like morons. It would always be awkward being the solitary guy in the woods, just meditating and having to talk to people who pass by. Anyway, one of my favorite spots was to sit right by this lake that was formerly a cranberry bog. It was like a 10-minute walk around the lake to get near the other side to give you an idea of the size. One day I had been there from like 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. on an autumn day. When I felt the turnover from day to night beginning and the sky dimming, I got a weird feeling I hadn't had there before ever. I'd been in the woods in the dark with very little fear, except with friends. I'm more calm alone than in a group, which makes me paranoid. I just suddenly sensed that there was something out there with me. Something that wasn't the usual wildlife. I looked around and noticed that everything had gone really quiet. No more birds flying and singing, no more squirrels. Everything had just gone dead. At this point, I was still sitting and gazing across the lake. That's when I saw something at the other side, directly opposite to me, moving in the trees. It immediately caught my attention, and I squinted, trying to see what it was. At some point, the trees settled as if whatever it was had stopped or gone the other way or something. Then I realized what I was looking at. Something was looking right at me, camouflaged in the trees. It was a dark figure that I could just make out through the trees, standing upright, but taller than a human and taller than a brown-black bear standing up. Hunter? Nope. A creepy guy in the woods? Nope. Bear? Nope. Deer? Nope. Then what the hell could it be? I just sat there watching it. Watch me. Maybe it thought I was dead or something, because I hadn't moved much in hours while meditating. Then I saw the figure fade back into the trees and the movement of the trees begin again. This time, it emerged from the trees and walked along the side of the lake towards the side, heading my way. Now I could see it very well. As soon as I saw it, though, I had a serious "oh shit" drop in my stomach and knew I had to get out of there soon. since I had no idea if it could run fast or not. It looked about 7 feet tall, had a solid, strong body covered in very thick hair, and had a weird walk. I could hear it grunted and huffing as it approached. As soon as it passed some bushes that I knew would conceal me from its view, I got up as quietly as possible and hunched and walked down the strip by the lake until I got to the main woods trail, looking back over my shoulder a million times, of course. By the time I got to the main trail, it had got to the strip of the lake where I was at. At this point, I just took off running. As soon as I started running, the adrenaline hit me, and I realized how scared I'd actually been. And while running, I kept imagining it running after me. But I knew it wasn't. My heart was pumping 1 billion times a minute, but I kept running. Looking back on it now, I'm not sure what it had intended to do by coming close to me. Unless it was eating deers or other animals in the woods, it must have been a plant eater, so how violent could it be? But maybe it was a territorial thing, and it had seen me going there a lot and got tired, curious about me. I went out there again many times, but never stayed in that same area near nighttime. I also started bringing a hunting knife for some kind of protection. Never saw it again. However, I'd get the feeling several more times while walking through different trails. Basically, I'd be walking along lost in my thoughts, vaguely hearing the birds and woods alive, and then it was like I'd wake up and realize everything had gone silent, and I had the uncanny feeling of being watched and observed. When this happened, I'd look around extremely carefully and face the direction of the wind to see if I could smell anything. Then I'd get out of there until a feeling of safety returned. I think the woods are some kind of collective entity, or that humans have some sensory abilities that allow us to read the woods and know what's going on, even if we can't see it.
I live in the southern part of New Jersey, all sand and marsh and pine barrens. Some messed up things went on here in the past, between smuggling routes in the Revolution era to the mafia dumping bodies and the modern pineys that are redneck junkies and commandos. Friends and I used to go scampering through the woods looking for the Jersey Devil or the den houses of local cults. Around when I was 8, there was a huge forest fire, which is unusual here, out in the woods area to the southeast of town. If you ride by now, you can still see the blackened, thinned-out trees. The fire was insane, jumping roads and consuming huge chunks of land. The cops said it was arson, and the responsible party was never caught. Nothing to do here except Innawoods or TV watching. I decided to explore the blackened forest when I'm 14. It's within biking distance. Grab water, head down, find a good path in. There's a ton of fresh growth flora, thorn brambles and fern and whatever else, and the brambles grow thick and can be impenetrable unless you find a deer trail. Make sure a car isn't coming. Head off road and into path. Walk bike in. Stash the bike behind thick growth out of view of the road. Grab a water bottle. Head in a woods. All the trees are ashy. Try not to touch any of them. Bark like charcoal. In the immediate area, there aren't any houses around, except a few on the absolute periphery of the wood chunk. Is divided by a few roads but not much traffic. The place had never been right since the fire. Birds didn't nest there because all the good trees burned up. Animals had no prey because no birds, and all the insects died and didn't spread back in to fill the gap yet. The entire food chain was messed up. Not much left here except deer passing through on occasion. Find a path through the damn brambles. Every outing gets my legs shredded. That's just how it is here. The clouds are patchy, but take note of where the sun is. It's around 2 in the afternoon. Should have plenty of daylight, so I don't get my ass lost. Head out. Still has a thick scent, like going into a house that burned down. You can smell the charred wood feels off. I'm used to the birds and squirrels and other little critters making noise. When no cars are coming, it's silent. Getting further from road, find a dry creek bed and head down because clear path from brambles sip water bottle. Stand around and look. Keep down the creek bed. See something ahead like a structure. Some kids or crackheads built a stick fort. A 3-wall barrier to one end, with a log dragged into the middle, char worn off from piney ass cheeks. Half-assed bonfire pit, with some thin green wood and an old half-burned log, and a couple of beer cans that didn't get too burned. Chill for a few, sweat has dried from the bike ride. Pretty nice. Take a sip from the bottle, vision is obscured with it in my face. See shape move off to my left periphery, 4 feet off the ground, bigger than a squirrel. Lower bottle, look. I can't see anything. Stand up and look around. Might be a gang or a semi-feral dog. Don't see anything, don't hear anything. Decide to keep moving, head further in. The creek bed ends, start winding through woods. Notice fresh carvings in a few of the trees, from a knife, just miscellaneous like initials and some symbols. Litter scattered here and there, surprisingly few. I'm about a quarter through this block chunk. Climb up a little hill. Just a few feet, this is flat as a pancake Jersey coastal plain. Soil basically sand and ash, slipping, put hand on tree to stabilize myself. Get to the top, the hand is black from the tree. A few beer bottles, some scattered shell casing. Seen casing like that before from the deer hunters, they never clean their mess up. Wind kicking up, feeling it even this deep in a woods. A cloud passes over the sun. Look around, thinking whether to go forward or head back. Freeze. There's a goddamned figure down the hill, stock still, staring at me from half behind a bramble wall. It's just far enough that I can't make out the features, but it looks like it is wearing winter clothes like a scarf around its neck. It's goddamn summer. Can't see its face? Looks like a skinny teenager in bulky clothes. Don't know what he's on. Want to get out of there, but don't want to turn my back to him. I think I should grab a stick, look at the ground around me. In the half second that I'm glancing down, it moves. Look up while backpedaling. It's at the top of the end of the hill now. Standing still. My shorts are caught on the bramble. Try to pull away and it's stuck. Drop the water bottle in the dirt. Fumble at sticker bush, eyes still on the guy. Hood of its coat up, big-ass scarf, corded knit. Clothes are dirty, a bunch of holes and tears, dark brown stains all over. Get stickers out of shorts, fabric comes free. Move a few steps back towards the hole in the brush I came in from, testing whether the guy will jump at me. He's just standing there, watching. Tell him to go, turn half away with my eyes still on him. Gonna get back down the hill. The wind is picking up. Snap from behind me. Reflexively turn to look at it. Blur of motion. The man in the old coat moves. Closed half the distance to me. I don't know what was behind me, but screw it. I'm hauling ass out of here. Sprint like my life depends on it. Ripping through the bramble. Don't give a damn. I can't tell if he's following. I'm making a ton of noise plowing through the brush. Cloudy. No shadows. No light. Wind blowing my hair in my eyes. Dust and ash making my eyes water. Focus on getting out of there. Running max speed. Beyond freaked out. Something jumps out of the brush on my left. Think it's a dog. Sidestep to avoid hitting it. It's scrabbling next to me, coming at me. Not a dog. Folded over the guy in rags, like an old shirt and wife beater that are more whole than fabric. On its hands and feet like a wild man, motions are faster than should be. Lunges for me. Dodge and sprint. Plow through a damned bush, snapping branches off my arms. Another thing is still behind me. I hear them both coming. They're screeching. Sounds like a messed up cat. I have lost all sense of direction. Not on the creek bed. Just flat out running for it. Trying not to trip. Pushing to go faster because they are ripping through right behind me. Passing a bunch of mauled trees, like someone went to town on them with a knife for hours hacking the hell out of them. Kakrari, hard in throat, might have pissed myself. Scratchy scream was right behind me. Haul ass. Mass up ahead. Nowhere else to run. Go past. It's a deer carcass, torn the hell into shreds. Like someone grabbed handfuls of its guts and threw them at the surrounding trees. Stringy intestines hanging off the charred bark. Blood splattered up the sides. Panting, inhale deep lungful of the stench. Steaming dead animal reek from the heat. I want to gag and spit. Things are still coming behind me. Keep going full tilt. Too fast to be picky about trail, getting torn up, arms up to protect my face and eyes. Can't keep this pace much longer. Can't slow down. See the edge of the forest ahead. Put everything into it. The things are screeching unholy loud in my ear. We're tearing through the woods, getting whacked in the arms and chest with branches and vines. Almost out, chest burning. A whole mess of brambles strewed across the trees like barbed wire. Go right through. Not a damn given. Snap the vines with the force. Stumble down a slope to the road. Stagger across without looking. Turn around and watch the edge of the woods. They're screaming and screeching. Don't come out. I've lost my momentum, shaking all over, about to fall down. No cars around. This road doesn't even have lines. Isn't the road I came in? Must be on the other side of woods. Hear the things moving around in the brush. Sun blinded and can't see them clearly inside the shade from new green trees. This is the creepiest thing I've ever heard. The sounds they made next. My eyes are watering up remembering it. Louder than anything has a right to be, somewhere between a human and a cat, shrill and grating. Cadence messed up like an imitation of speech. Woo-wee ha nuatat bernedi. They're tearing at the woods, snapping branches and breaking apart the trees. It's one of those long country roads bordered on both sides by woods for miles. There is no way in hell I'm going into the woods on the other side of the road. Start jogging down the road towards home. Hear the things in the woods following me, sound four-legged like they're on hands and feet again. Occasionally screech at me. In the distance hear another screech of the same kind, and another, closer. Run. Go another half-mile on pure fear. Don't turn down the road I normally would. Keep going straight because a few houses ahead. Sounds residing. Still hear them following me, but they aren't screaming anymore. No one in their damned yard, still no cars. Going to go into town before heading across to home. Mouth dry, thirsty and tired, covered in sweat. Slow down when I get to the outskirts of town, finally a sidewalk after I cross a road. Can't hear the things. Woods are scrappy backyards by now and end at the road crossing. Stop and pant, still shaking. Legs are shredded, blood all seeping down. Socks are stained. Arms and body and even cuts on my face. Smeared ash all over. The left arm has a huge gash where I came through the bramble at the end of the woods, bleeding a lot. Walk back to the house, slip in the shower before Mom sees. The next day, I told them my bike was stolen.
I grew up in southern New Jersey about 3 miles or so from Fort Dix Army Base in the 70s, in a small town, Country Lakes. Growing up here, everyone around knew that the woods here are very scary, and more so at night. As a kid, my friends and I were always running through the woods or driving down the dark dirt roads of the Pine Barrens at night, and it became almost normal to hear that someone heard or saw something unexplainable. I heard many stories from people, but I never saw anything. Until it was around 1978 and I was 10 years old. During the summer, my best friend at the time and I came to my house after running around outside, and it was already dark out, probably around 9 p.m. My friend lived right next door to me, and our houses were up against the woods in the backyards. After playing, we went to my backyard and sat on the deck with our feet hanging over the side, and were small talking because it was time for him to go home soon. As we are sitting in the dark, I happened to look over to my right, say the 1 or 2 o'clock position, and to my surprise, I saw 2 large glowing red eyes staring straight at us. Now these eyes were about 8 or so feet high from the ground, and not a normal height for a person. The second thing, these eyes were large. I would say they seemed to be the size of a tennis ball, and that was from a distance of around 30 yards. I can best describe the color as almost the same color as a brake light from a car, the same type of glow. It also looked like there was a small black pupil in the middle. Whatever this was, it didn't move at all, and it made itself very obvious the way it was just staring at us. Another thing I noticed is I could see no body and no face. There was no outline at all, but it was very dark. This thing was standing right at the edge of the tree line and my backyard. So, as I glanced over and saw this, I became very scared, and my reaction was to swing my left arm and hit my friend to get his attention and point to the obvious. I was so scared I didn't speak and just reacted. This entire moment was literally only a few seconds. As my friend saw this, we both shot up and ran as fast as we could into my house. When we got inside, we went straight to the back window and saw these eyes leaving through the woods like it was running. And you could see the eyes going in a flowing motion up and down, like it was flying, but the woods were too thick for that. What I saw was not human and huge. And I'm now 50 years old and I believe I will never know what the hell this was. This is the first time I have ever told what I saw publicly.
Hey listen, I'm sorry, I don't use 4chan, but I know what X is from YouTube videos. This isn't an RP or a fictional story, but I know saying that is pretty worthless, so please just help me out here and take me at face value. I was camping because I got a job a bit ago and I haven't gone camping since high school. I didn't have a gun, which I know is probably stupid in hindsight, but I didn't expect this to happen all right. This was like last night. I'm here because I'm still reeling from it and I need to know if any of the skinwalker or crazy astral projection stuff people post on here is real or not now. Obviously I didn't believe it before, but now I have no way to tell if what I hear people say about ghosts and monsters is real or not. How can I tell? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not being very clear, so I was camping, I'm in New Jersey. North half, it wasn't the Jersey Devil, I wasn't in the Pine Barrens. I had 3 of my friends with me, but we were doing normal stuff. We built a campfire for 2 nights in a row and went on a hike and everything was fine. There weren't even weird noises. Then on the 3rd night, there were no crickets or birds or anything. I was freaked out because I know about the whole thing where there's no animal sounds when a predator is nearby. But I was still not freaking out because I had my friends with me, and that diffused the situation. But then one of them who was sitting across from me froze up and was staring into the wood. I noticed right away and looked over my shoulder and there was a thing in the tree line. I know I'm not being subtle here, but I want to reiterate that this is real. It was giant and we were in a clearing, so the tree line might have been the wrong term, but it was like around the edge closer to us. It had 4 arms that it was using to cling to 2 trees and prop itself up. One was on the ground. It had long arms with big elbows that sound so stupid, but it had like bulges. Like bony elbows, like the skin was tight around the bone. It was like a pinwheel. Just these big 4 white sticks clinging to trunks at the tops and bottoms. A little askew with a bald white head in the middle that had big weirdly flat eyes. The eyes were inset a little and round, black but not like voids. They weren't shiny. I guess they looked like rocks. They were sorta round but had big tear ducts, you know, the little triangle thing on the inside. Its mouth was like long, like a deer from the front. I guess it might have had a long face. I saw it from the front. It was just hanging open a little bit, but its body was sticking out at like an angle. From behind the shoulder bits of its 4 arms, it was like being yanked down and to the left, like a stretched model stuck on something. I'll draw it later. I drew it as I was writing this. It is the picture on the first post. But Jesus Christ, I know this is shitty, but it's a real thing I saw. I just stared at it. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't thinking, but when I started thinking, I didn't want to make any moves that would make it come after us. I didn't know what the hell to do. The other guys were probably also staring by now. I know the first guy still was, so I guess the other 2 next to us took notice at some point and we just sat there staring it down. I don't know how long this lasted, but eventually it moved. Its head in a circle. I don't know how to describe it except for this sort of rhythmic bopping. Like it was trying to psych us out, or I don't even know, but it moved only its head at us in some kind of intentional display. I don't know what it meant. Have you ever seen one of those videos where a bird keeps its head perfectly level and still as someone moves its body around? It did that, but the opposite. It was like mechanical motion, but in a biological way. So I guess this head thing made one of my friends panic. I haven't named them, it doesn't matter. The biggest dude threw a rock at it. I don't know what the hell he thought he was gonna do. He said later that he wasn't thinking straight. And I guess I can't be too mad at him because I was also scared, but the stupid asshole threw a rock at the thing and it scrambled sideways like a... Actually, I don't even know what to compare it to. The body snapped like a rubber band, but the arms flailed in a way that looked random but also consistent. I didn't see much of it scrambled between trees. Scrambling really is the best word I can think of. It was going sideways, circling us, and that's when we all lost our minds. I was yelling at the guy who threw the rock and he was trying to get me to help him with the fire. I think he wanted to scare it off with fire. The guy who first saw it got all our attention because he said it was coming in. And it was. The thing got right up to the tree line and lunged forward like a slingshot or bungee jumper. It snapped forward and tried to get the one of us who'd gotten farthest from the group. It only just missed because he threw himself on the ground and then it pulled back into the woods and got too far away that we couldn't see it. We were still losing our minds, but the rock throw guy and the guy who first saw it got our backpacks and told us to run to the car. It was far away, but we were panicking and there was a trail, so we ran. I think it was following us for a bit. As we were running, the guy who saw it got us our flashlights and we were shining them on the tree line and the path at the same time, trying not to trip. We caught flashes of white but made it in the end and instantly drove away. We're safe now, obviously. We're probably gonna get a call about the fire we left burning at some point. That's fine, who cares? Listen, I'm sorry this sucked to read. I'm losing my mind. Was that a skinwalker or a wendigo? Was it something else? It had 4 arms, but Jesus Christ, can you see why I'm upset? I know this is worthless, but please just pretend for a second that you know for sure this isn't an RP. I guess it could have been an animal, but come on, I don't know. Help me, please. If you're reading this and you can say anything that might help, how do I know if all cryptids and ghost stories I hear from now on are true or not? I used to not believe in anything, not really. I mean, I was agnostic at best about forest monsters, but I didn't think it was a conscious worry. But now I don't know what to think. Is it all real? Is only some of it real? How do I tell? Am I still in danger now from that thing seeing us? I don't live nearby the woods we drove out here. We drove all night and we're in a hotel in a suburb now. In the middle of typing this, I got a little booklet and a pen and drew it from what I remember. It's a little messed up, but I don't know. It's basically the way it looked. Also, I wrote this out and then cut it up for being too long. Like I said at the start, I don't use 4chan. I've never posted to X before. Again, I'm being dead serious, and please just at least pretend to believe me. What should I do?
Bear with mange. Swamp gas caused hallucination. Many such cases. Move along now. Was OP near a swamp? I'm always curious about these stories where 2 people witness a similar thing. But that's all they'll ever be. Tales with 0 photographic evidence, let alone some sort of taxonomy.
We weren't near a swamp. It was a normal forest. Temperate forest, I guess, North New Jersey. And it absolutely couldn't have been a bear, but I feel like that's not a real suggestion. But yeah, sorry. I wish I'd taken a picture or video because the drawing looks like trash, but none of us were thinking about that at the time. Listen, it's okay if people don't believe me. I didn't believe anything like this before I saw this thing, and that's what worries me so bad. If this thing is real, what else is? Also, yeah, we all saw the same thing. We talked about it on the drive, and we all remember the same details. I'm still obviously not calm, but writing it and thinking about it has helped clear my head. Maybe it's not too big a deal. I'm 25, and I used to camp when I was in high school, and nothing ever happened before. But maybe that makes it worse because you never know when something is gonna happen. Even if it's something you think should be okay. I'll still talk to a priest and stuff and do the rituals. I don't know any Native Americans. In fact, I don't think there are any reservations anywhere near here. Maybe it's stupid to even consider that, but I legitimately can't tell what's a stupid idea and what's not anymore. That's what screws me up so bad, you know?
I believe you, but next time you tell your story here, I need you to learn how to greentext. You're lucky you didn't get sucked dry. Also, your buddy throwing the rock might have helped. These things are cowards and scavengers. That's why it tried to get your friend that was singled out.
Realistically speaking, nothing else will happen to you. I mean, aside from the thing being extremely unsettling, did it actually try to interact with you in any way? You can let your mind run wild with this sort of thing, but it ultimately doesn't get you anywhere. What's the point of doing a ritual if you don't think you're cursed? Why would this supposed being travel out of the forest to mess with you in the first place?
I guess it was pretty skinny looking, and hopefully I'll never have another story like this to tell in my life. But yeah, I know it was shit to read, sorry. You say these things, do you know what it is? Was it a skinwalker, wendigo, or whatever? Why did it have 4 arms? And it did go for one of us while we were panicking. One of my friends got a little further away from us 3, and it snapped at him with its mouth. It was fast as hell, and it retreated right away. Maybe it was just trying to hunt, to eat? That's better than it being a demon, I guess. But thank you, thank both you guys, that's comforting. And the ritual, I don't know, man, it won't cost me much of anything, and it might make me feel better. Or even actually help in a real way, I don't know.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.
There's also a Rumble archive as a backup.